Before May 11th, someone will try to pull you back. Archangel Michael says this time, you must not look. Here's a moment fast approaching. A divine line drawn in the spiritual sand. Before May 11th, heaven has identified a turning point, a moment when the familiar voice from your past will rise again, cloaked not in reconciliation, but in resistance. This is not a return. It's a rewind. This is not a bridge. It's a bait. And Archangel Michael has been sent forward with urgency, not to merely caution you, but to command you. This time, you must not look. This time, you must not entertain the voice that once shackled your destiny. This time, you must not feed the ghost of your former self. The temptation to respond will come wearing the mask of peace, but beneath it lies the same pattern of delay, the same snare of soul-level distraction. What is rising in your life is divine. What you are stepping into is sacred, and the enemy knows it. That is why it's not attacking your strength, it's attacking your memory. It wants to lure you into conversations that make you question your growth. It wants to plant seeds of guilt about who you've become. But Michael has made it clear. Your path is protected, but only if you walk forward without second-guessing the exits heaven already sealed behind you. That voice, it knows the former version of you, the one who explained too much, the one who stayed too long, the one who confused kindness with silence. But it does not know this you. It does not know the fortified, focused, and fire-tested version that heaven has now commissioned. You are not who you used to be, and you are not required to prove it. This time, you do not look back. This time, you ascend. There is a tension in the atmosphere, a pressure you may have felt in your chest without fully understanding its source. The air is shifting, the light around you warping as unseen forces make their moves. Archangel Michael has stepped forward to issue a prophetic warning, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Something in your surroundings is no longer hiding its intention. Something, or someone, is coming back around, not to celebrate your growth, not to align with your elevation, but to pull you back into a frequency you no longer belong to. Michael speaks. Be alert, chosen one. Something is shifting in your atmosphere. Before May 11th, you will be approached, and it will sound innocent. But it is the echo of delay trying to wear the voice of care. It is the vibration of the old trying to pull on the thread of your new. Do not mistake its tone for truth. Do not mistake its return for redemption. This is not a test of your strength, it is a test of your awareness. Archangel Michael does not come forward unless the matter is urgent, unless the spiritual stakes have risen to a level that cannot be ignored. And this time, the urgency is real. In the next few hours, or days at most, the past will attempt to reintroduce itself. But understand this. Just because something wants back in, doesn't mean it has changed. And just because someone says they miss you, doesn't mean they honor you. Michael's voice thunders over your destiny today. You must not look. Not this time. Because the moment you look back, even slightly, your energy begins to shift. Your direction starts to blur. And the enemy knows this. It won't show up in demonic form, wearing darkness. It will come wrapped in a message that sounds kind. It will come disguised in memories that feel warm. But do not be fooled. This is not a reconnection. It is a reroute. This is not restoration. It is regression cloaked in sentimentality. Archangel Michael declares, you are on the edge of something that cannot afford distraction. Your name is on a scroll being prepared in heaven. Your purpose has entered a phase where any detour is too costly. If you entertain this voice, even for a moment, You may delay what was scheduled to be released before the 11th hour. The number 11 is no accident. Spiritually, it is the number of alignment, awakening, and final preparation. It is a warning signal in the prophetic realm, a moment when heaven checks if your posture is firm, if your boundaries are guarded, if your heart has truly closed the door to what once wounded it. And so the countdown has begun. May 11th is not just a date on the calendar, it is a checkpoint in the spirit. It is a line that separates who you were from who you must now become. You were not made to be tethered to yesterday, and you were not born again just to entertain the ghosts of who you used to be. You carry oil now. You carry mantle. And with that mantle comes the responsibility to guard your gates. You are not obligated to answer familiar spirits disguised as friendly voices. You are not required to revisit spaces God already released you from. Michael says this clearly. This time, do not respond. This time, do not return. This time, do not look. What is ahead of you is too holy to be diluted by old memories. What is forming around you is too divine to be compromised by emotional nostalgia. You do not need to apologize for protecting your peace. You do not need to justify the silence that has been divinely ordered. Heaven has issued a boundary, and it speaks through your restraint. You may feel the pull. You may sense the lure. You may even hear the words you've always wanted to hear, but this time, it's not your heart that must decide. It's your spirit. And your spirit already knows. Looking back is not healing, it's delaying. Responding is not closure, it's compromise. You are in a new season, and this time, you must not look. Type I won't go back in the comments if this word confirms your spirit. Blessing code 1179 is now in motion. There's something going on behind the veil. Conversations you haven't been invited to, glances exchanged that you haven't seen, a stirring in the energy around you that suggests you are being discussed in rooms where your name was once buried. This isn't imagination. This isn't paranoia. This is the spirit realm revealing what the natural realm is trying to conceal. Someone who once underestimated you has begun to observe your silence. And your silence, though pure and intentional, is being misread as weakness. A conversation is happening behind your back, but it is not rooted in reconciliation. It is fueled by curiosity, entitlement, and pride. The kind of curiosity that wonders how you've remained so distant, the kind of pride that refuses to believe you've grown without their approval. You see, they don't miss you. They miss access to the old version of you. The one who over-explained, overgave, overextended. But that version no longer exists. And your stillness now irritates them more than your presence ever did. Archangel Michael is revealing this. Someone thought they knew you, but they only knew who you were while bleeding. They never stayed long enough to witness the healing. They never expected your healing to come with clarity. And they never imagined your clarity would come with distance. But now that you're out of their reach, the very people who once neglected your presence are gossiping about your absence. The truth is, they've uncovered something, but only a fragment. They see you shining, but they don't see the battles you fought to get there. They see your glow, but not the tears that watered it. And because their understanding is incomplete, their words about you are distorted. This is why your spirit hath been unsettled, why you've been feeling emotional waves for no clear reason, why the nights have seemed longer, even when your life seems in order, because your name is being summoned in their energy field, but not for peace, for possession. Archangel Michael warns, they do not come bearing truth. They come carrying triggers. The conversation they are preparing to have with you is not to restore harmony. It's to reestablish control. If convinced themselves that you owe them closure or context or conversation, and if you're not discerning, their carefully selected words will sound noble. They will sound regretful. They will sound like healing. But this is not healing. This is emotional sabotage disguised as sincerity. And heaven is alerting you because this type of sabotage is more dangerous than any visible enemy. It's harder to resist. It's harder to recognize, because it mirrors the language of love while aiming to disrupt the alignment of your soul. You'll feel it soon, if not already. A name will pop into your spirit randomly. A memory will surface unexpectedly. You may even dream about them. And when this happens, do not assume it's the universe prompting a reunion. Sometimes, God allows the image of a person to appear in your spirit not to restore a connection, but to remind you how far you've come since letting them go. That's not a sign to go back. That's a sign to stand your ground. Let it be known, your silence has made them uncomfortable. Your peace has confused them. Your absence has created a void they didn't expect to feel. But this is not your responsibility to fix. You are not obligated to explain what growth looks like. You are not required to translate your silence into words they can understand. Michael speaks clearly in this hour. They are watching you, not to admire, but to assess. Not to uplift, but to unravel. Not to apologize, but to persuade. Be vigilant. Be still. And above all, be unmoved. Your spirit may still feel compassion for them, and that is a testament to your heart, not an invitation to reopen the past. Your love for people must never override your loyalty to your purpose, and your desire for peace must never become a doorway for manipulation. Something is forming behind the scenes. Words are being exchanged. Screenshots are being shared. Your name is rising again, not in celebration, but in speculation. But you don't need to defend it. You don't need to interfere. You don't even need to know what they're saying. Because what heaven says about you is louder than every whisper behind your back. You are not who they think you are. And this time, they will have to adjust to your silence, because your voice is no longer available to validate their misunderstanding. Type ISE the setup in the comments if you know this warning is yours. Blessing code 6127 is now released. This is not personal, it's spiritual. The tension you feel is not about the individual who may reach out. It's about the assignment behind them. You are not simply being contacted by someone who once knew you. You are being tested by an old energy that is trying to confirm whether you've truly exited the atmosphere it once thrived in. Archangel Michael reveals that this isn't about the message, the invitation, or the apology. It's about the frequency you now carry and whether it can be disrupted. This is not just someone missing you. This is a spiritual disturbance sent to measure the integrity of your boundaries. You are no longer accessible the way you used to be. You are no longer available to energies that once fed on your openness, and that is causing friction in the realm of shadows. You have become a threat, not because of your loudness, but because of your stillness. You've become a warrior, not through noise, but through discernment. The conflict ahead is subtle. It will look like a war, but it is one. It is a spiritual war masked in polite conversation. It is a divine test wrapped in emotional language. The enemy has no new tools, only recycled strategies. And when he cannot find a way to break your spirit, he searches for people who still have emotional access to your memory. You are not just being reached out to, you are being scanned. Your posture is being watched. Your tone is being evaluated. Your readiness to return to old ways is being provoked through familiarity. But heaven says, You are chosen. You are not called to revisit. You are called to rise. You are not an echo of the past. You are the trumpet of what is yet to come. You are not just a person. You are a portal. Where you walk, atmospheres bend. Where you speak, spirits tremble. And where you remain silent, heaven moves. The reason the tension is growing is because your next dimension is closer than you realize. And with every elevation, there is a test of loyalty. Not to people, but to purpose. Not to past connections, but to divine assignment. This is not about right and wrong. This is about destiny and delay. The moment you engage with what you've been called out of, you reopen doors that took angels to shut. Michael's voice moves with authority. This is warfare disguised as memory. This is bondage trying to wear the mask of love. This is confusion speaking in the tone of apology. Do not answer. Do not return. Do not entertain. Let them misunderstand. Let them say what they will. Your silence is not rejection, it's obedience. Your refusal is not pride, it's protection. The version of you that would have entertained this has already been buried. And what hath been buried in divine order must not be resurrected by emotional longing. This moment isn't about how strong you are. It's about how committed you are to the frequency you now carry. And if you pass this test, you don't just keep your peace, you unlock the next door. Type I see the trap in the comments if this message is for you. Blessing code 8392 is activated. They are already planning it. In the unseen, in the shadows, in moments you cannot track or hear, the approach is being prepared. Archangel Michael says this is not imagination or suspicion. This is a tactical distraction being arranged in the spiritual realm. Their message is coming. Your voice is rehearsing lines. Their presence is pacing like a lion outside the gate, seeking just one moment of weakness, one opening where you forget who you've become. Do not be surprised if it's gentle. Do not be confused if it feels kind. The enemy no longer roars. He often whispers. The confrontation will not look like anger. It will look like timing. A sudden reach out from a familiar number. A DM you didn't expect. A comment under an old post. But it won't be random. It will be rehearsed. Crafted. Targeted. This is not coincidence. It's calculated. The goal is to reopen a version of you that God has already buried. And if you take the bait, if you answer, if you look, you are not just entertaining a conversation. You are inviting in confusion. Archangel Michael says, they may message you. They may speak your name. They may cry out with words you once longed to hear. But do not interpret their tone as truth. The tone is not the test, the timing is. The timing is critical. This isn't just any hour, this is a threshold hour. The gate is opening in your spirit, and the enemy is racing to clutter it before clarity arrives. You may feel heavy, unexplainably tired, nostalgic without cause. This is a counterfeit cloud sent to weigh down your discernment. It is meant to soften your focus, to blur your edges, and to make room for the lie to slip in unnoticed. They are already telling others they just want to talk, that they need closure, that they miss your spirit. But what they miss isn't your spirit, it's your access. What they need isn't peace, it's proof they still hold a piece of your will. And what they call closure, heaven calls contamination. This warning comes from the throne. Be unmoved. Be unshaken. Be unavailable. Do not get lured into performing the old version of you just to comfort someone who never valued it when it was present. Do not make a speech where silence is your sword. Do not answer questions that are not being asked in truth. Michael is clear. In the next 72 hours, a subtle trap will be set. It will not come wearing a fence. It will come wearing it. It will not attack directly. It will appeal to your compassion. But now is not the hour to be kind to chaos. Now is the moment to protect your stillness like it's sacred, because it is. If you feel the urge to explain, pause. If you hear their name and feel tempted to reply, pause. If they knock at your emotional door, you do not have to open it. This is not about being rude. This is about being relevant to your divine timeline. God has already dismissed what you're thinking about responding to. That should be your answer. Understand this. The enemy doesn't fear your strength. He fears your silence. Because your silence means you're tuned into something higher. You're guarding the new. You're trusting that heaven has already spoken. And when heaven speaks, you don't need to negotiate with shadows. There is an ambush disguised as affection. A knock at your door that sounds like resolution, but opens into relapse. This is not reconciliation. This is a run. This is not healing. It's an invitation back into patterns you were delivered from. And if you walk into it, you delay your own reward. The trap will feel personal. But it's not. It's strategic. Because if the enemy can get you to respond, you stay distracted just long enough to miss what was scheduled to be yours. Michael's final instruction in this hour: if they reach out, let them reach silence. If they call your name, let heaven answer it on your behalf. You are no longer your own defense. You are under divine protection. Type I to Chem not answering in the comments if this warning is for you. Blessing code 6608 is now released. Now is not the time to explain. Now is not the time to revisit, retype, or reframe what has already been laid to rest. Now is the time to protect the stillness heaven gave you. That stillness isn't silence. It is strategy. And Archangel Michael says plainly, your silence is your covering. Your peace is your shield. Your restraint is your roar. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them say what they want. You don't owe clarity to confusion, and you don't owe closure to cycles God has already crushed. This next stretch of your journey is not about defending your light. It's about staying in alignment with it. And that means refusing the urge to explain your glow to people committed to misunderstanding your fire. You've spent too long healing to start justifying again. Too long climbing to start pausing for those who never believed you'd rise. The silence you carry now is not emptiness. It is evidence of divine maturity. It is the sound of heaven trusting you with restraint. Do not explain your absence. Do not clarify your change. Do not soften your no with comforting tones. When the door was closed, God sealed it. If they knock again, that is not your cue to open. It is your cue to let heaven answer. Because anyone sent by God knows how to honor your pace. But anyone sent as a test will always rush your boundary. Michael instructs you now. Hold your peace like a sword. Let your no be final. Let your silence be sacred. You are not being cruel. You are being called. You are not being distant. You are being delivered. You are not withholding love. You are withholding access to the old version of you that was easily pulled back. That version no longer lives here. Sometimes the greatest strength is in the things you don't say, in the messages you don't send, in the comments you don't respond to. That is where maturity breathes. That is where obedience grows. And that is where the enemy loses grip, in the sound of your refusal to engage. You are not required to attend every emotional invitation. You are not obligated to revisit every broken bridge just because someone claims they now see your value. The truth is, if they didn't honor it when it was present, they don't deserve access to its evolved version. And if they only want your voice when they feel your absence, their attention is not rooted in love. It's rooted in control. This is your moment to let heaven fight for you. You don't need to swing. You don't need to speak. The battle has already been judged. You only need to remain still long enough for the victory to manifest. Stillness is not passive. It's prophetic. It declares, I know who holds me. It confirms, I don't have to fight what I've already outgrown. Let this moment cleanse your emotional reflexes. Not everything deserves a response. Not every reach deserves acknowledgement. Not every memory deserves resurrection. You are not here to entertain shadows. You are here to host light. Guard your peace. Buster your heart. Cover your spirit. And when the opportunity arises to just check in or just hear them out, you'll know it's not Holy Spirit prompting you. It's the old wound knocking. And this time, you must not look. Michael whispers now, what's behind you is not your mission. What's ahead of you requires full focus. Hold your silence like a sword. Let your stillness be louder than their shout. Let them misread your peace. Let them create their own conclusions. You were never called to be understood. You were called to be aligned. And right now, your alignment depends on your ability to stay out of what heaven already dismissed. Type my silence is my shield in the comments if you're guarding your peace. Blessing code 4583 is now activated. You have officially become unrecognizable to the realm that once held you. The version of you that would have responded, that would have defended, that would have bent to keep peace in places that only offered you pieces, that version is gone. You're no longer who they thought you were. And that, right there, is your divine advantage. You are not meant to shrink yourself so others can feel comfortable around your growth. You are not called to fit inside the memory they still carry of you. Your evolution has outgrown their perception, and your silence is announcing it louder than any speech could. Heaven is not asking you to be cruel. Heaven is asking you to be clear. There is a storm behind you, and there is sunlight ahead, and you do not need to feel guilty for walking in the direction of light. Archangel Michael declares, you are not leaving them behind. You are leaving behind the level that required their approval. This is not abandonment. This is advancement. They expect the old you. They expect the one who doubted themselves. The one who overcompensated just to be seen. The one who made space for people who never made room for your worth. But they are in for a shock, because this time, you are not the comforter. You are the confirmation that growth doesn't seek permission. What once triggered you no longer touches you. What once pulled you in now passes by without penetration. You are rising, not because you shouted it, but because your atmosphere now speaks it. People sense it. Energy shifts when you walk in. You don't explain it, you embody it. Let them wonder. Let them try to decode your silence. Let them imagine why you no longer respond the way you once did. They're trying to bait you into performing the role they cast you in, but you've exited the stage, rewritten the script, and now walk with divine authorship. This is no longer a rehearsal. This is your release. The change in you was not cosmetic. It was cellular. You didn't just change habits. You changed your identity. Your spiritual DNA hath been rewritten. Your voice now carries vibration that shatters deception. Your eyes now see through layers people once hid behind. That is why they feel exposed in your presence. That is why they hesitate before speaking to you. They sense it, even if they can't name it. You have become fire to what once caged you. You have become water to what once burned you. You have become the evidence that survival was never the end goal. Transcendence was. This isn't about being stronger. It's about being sealed. The oil on you now makes it dangerous for anyone to mishandle you again. You don't have to announce your transformation. You don't have to prove anything. Your absence from the conversations they tried to pull you into says everything. You've moved from needing validation to walking in visitation. Heaven now walks with you in visibility, and the earth is adjusting to your presence. Michael reminds you, you were never small. You were suppressed. Now you are not becoming powerful. You are remembering that you always were. You are not a memory trying to survive. You are a movement stepping into command. Every delay, every silence, every boundary was the building block of the authority you now carry. And yes, some won't like it. Some will try to guilt you back into softness. Some will call it pride. But this isn't pride. It applauds you. It's permission from heaven to no longer explain why you stopped shrieking. You don't owe anyone comfort at the cost of your calling. You don't need to step down so they can feel tall again. You've entered the realm where what once said you no longer holds power, where your old triggers now testify that they no longer have access, where your peace is louder than their questions. You are not climbing. You're soaring. You're not reacting. You're ruling. Type I have outgrown the old me in the comments if this section is your confirmation. Blessing code 2844 is now released. This was never about a person. This was never about a message, a memory, or a past connection resurfacing in a gentle disguise. This was a divine test, and you are passing it in silence. The restraint you've shown has spoken louder in the spirit than 10,000 words ever could. The door you refused to open has kept the blessing path unblocked. The message you did not reply to has preserved the atmosphere of your breakthrough. The boundary you did not fold has kept heaven's schedule intact. Archangel Michael says clearly, because you did not look back, the release has been authorized. There is a shift forming even now. Unseen, quiet, not through fire or thunder, but in the subtle softening of your spiritual terrain. The weight is lifting. The cloud is clearing. You may not have realized it yet, but the tension was not from chaos. It was from transition. You were pushing through the last stretch of something ancient. A cycle trying to repeat itself. A loop looking for one more spin. And when you chose not to engage, you broke it. Cycles are broken not just by confrontation, but by non-participation. And because you didn't return to the familiar for the sake of comfort, the unfamiliar now has permission to enter the new, the divine, the favor. The elevation you prayed for in tears is no longer on the way. It's now looking for the door of obedience, and yours is wide open. You will not have to force what is coming. You will not have to chase. Because when spiritual order is honored, divine reward is inevitable. You didn't waste your silence. You invested it. You planted it into the ground of obedience, and the harvest is now reaching toward your life. Archangel Michael declares, your decision to be still has summoned motion from heaven. What once pulled you back now has no authority. What once delayed you now has no language to reach you. You've graduated in the spirit, not because you said all the right things, but because you refused to say what was no longer required. And heaven rewards those who move in silence when noise would have been easier. Watch now, a reversal is coming. Someone who once misjudged you will suddenly speak your name and truth. A narrative that once worked against you will unravel on its own. You won't have to defend yourself. You won't even be there when the apology forms in their mouth. Because what they tried to pull down, God is now lifting up. There's peace coming to your inbox. There's clarity arriving in your dreams. There's unexpected provision aligning to your timeline. The delay was not denial. It was protection while you proved your posture. And now, the protection has cleared the way for the provision. Because heaven trusts the heart that didn't retaliate. This is what Archangel Michael confirms. You have passed the test of restraint. And because you passed, the next level will not come with pain. It will come with peace. Don't be surprised if new connections show up. If divine partnerships begin to form. If long-awaited prayers begin to unfold. You didn't miss your moment. You protected it. You didn't block the blessing. You guarded the gates while it finished forming. Something you thought was lost will return, not from the past, but through a different form. Not from an old name, but through a new channel. What you sowed in secrecy is about to rise in public view. And this time, there will be no sabotage, no distraction, no interference. Because the lesson was learned, and the test was passed, and the past was denied access. This is your prophetic resolution. The attack failed. The cycle broke. The door stayed shut. And the heavens are now opening in return. Type "I passed the test" in the comments if you receive this prophetic shift. Blessing code 9902 is now activated. Now comes the part most overlook. The moment to respond not emotionally, but spiritually. This is where heaven watches your alignment, not just your awareness. Archangel Michael says this clearly. Knowing the truth is not enough. You must now stand in agreement with it. And the way you do that is through your declaration, your obedience, and your activation. Words create pathways in the realm of the spirit. What you type, speak, and affirm becomes evidence that you are no longer sitting silently inside cycles. You are standing boldly inside covenant. This word was not given to inspire, it was sent to ignite. Your stillness held the line, but your voice now confirms your position. And when you come into agreement with a divine message, you seal it. You anchor it. You become a witness to the word. The enemy cannot stand a silent believer who suddenly opens their mouth in alignment. Because it is not the volume that shakes the atmosphere, it's the vibration of obedience. Right now, in this very hour, the spiritual world is listening. The same forces that once plotted to pull you back are now disoriented. Why? Because you didn't respond the way you used to. You didn't react. You didn't return. And you didn't fold. And now, the next strike will not be warfare. It will be confirmation from heaven that you've been cleared for release. But you must act. You must declare. You must stand not just in reflection, but in revelation. This message didn't just pass through your ears. It activated your spirit. You know who this was for. You know the knock is coming. You know the trap has already been whispered. And you know you are being called to remain still, remain sealed, and remain set apart. So don't just read this. Respond. Don't just watch the signs. Walk in them. Speak what heaven is waiting for. Michael is not just delivering warnings, he's marking warriors. Warriors who know when to strike and when to be still. Warriors who do not flinch when temptation knocks in the tone of apology. Warriors who let their peace confuse the enemy and let their silence draw power. This is your moment to rise with intentionality. To say in your own voice, I will not look back. I will not answer. I will not explain. I will not perform for people who never clapped when I bled for them. I will stand. I will hold my peace. I will trust that what is ahead of me is greater than anything trying to reach from behind me. The call to action is not just about typing a phrase. It's about agreeing with your next chapter. It's about signaling to heaven that your soul is done with delay and ready for divine alignment. Every move you make in agreement, even a single word, tells heaven you're serious. This is the moment where watchers in the spirit record your response. Will you remain in secret hesitation, or will you rise into public alignment with what you know God has said? Don't be passive. Don't be neutral. Type it. Say it. Declare it. Let it move through your atmosphere like thunder over old terrain. And if doubt tries to tell you that your voice doesn't matter, remember this. It was your silence that confused the enemy. It will be your confession that commands the blessing. Now, right now, speak your allegiance. Show heaven you're aligned. Don't wait for another confirmation. This is it. Type I am aligned with heaven in the comments if your spirit agrees. Blessing code 7031 is now sealed. Let this be your confirmation. You are not the victim of a cycle. You are the evidence that cycles can end. You are not the echo of who you used to be. You are the voice of what's never been done before. And those who thought you would fold, reply, return, or regress will now have to face a truth more powerful than any argument. You have become unavailable to anything that contradicts your calling. This isn't arrogance. It's awareness. You awakened. And in that awakening, you've reclaimed something priceless. Spiritual clarity. That clarity is not just guiding your steps, it's protecting your peace. It's covering your timeline. It's shielding your atmosphere from distractions disguised as familiar invitations. This is not a phase, this is a ceiling. This is your spiritual line in the sand. And by standing still, you have shouted something the enemy hoped you'd never say. I know who I am now. Archangel Michael says, you are not merely passing through this season. You are being promoted because of how you passed through it. Every unanswered message, every unreturned call, every pause you chose when confrontation knocked. These were not passive acts. They were prophetic commands that restructured your future. They told the enemy, you can no longer reach me using what once worked on me. Let that truth settle in your bones. You are not being punished by distance. You are being protected by destiny. You are not losing relationships. You are shedding residue. You are not silent because you're unsure. You are silent because you are secure. And what is rising now is not random. It is the reward for restraint, the blessing for obedience, the crown for the quiet fight you won without witnesses. They tried to break you with their absence. They tried to guilt you with their return. They thought silence was weakness. But now they see silence is the language of those who have outgrown the noise. You are the storm that learned to calm itself. The fire that refused to be fueled by old oxygen. The voice that no longer trembles in the face of guilt. You are not a product of what you walked through. You are the promise that rose from it. You are not wounded. You are wise. You are not delayed. You are divinely aligned. And what comes next will not require an explanation. It will speak for itself. You don't need to go back and clarify. You don't need to prove your growth to people committed to misunderstanding it. You don't need to explain the boundaries God Himself built. The wall was not made to isolate you. It was made to elevate you beyond reach of what once touched you too easily. Michael reminds you now. Let them whisper. You rise. Let them question. You move. Let them misread. You are not what they think. You are what heaven sent. This time, you did not bend. You did not open the door. You did not answer the call. You did not entertain the conversation. And because you stood, heaven is standing for you. Because you held the line, a line is now forming between who you were and who you're becoming. And no matter who tries to reach across it, you've made it clear, you are not coming back. Let this word be your final declaration in this battle. You are not a victim. You are the revelation. You are not the silence. You are the signal. You are not what happened. You are what's happening now. And what's happening now is holy. The past had its chance. You'll had its grill. Fear at its window. But the doors have closed. The silence has spoken. And you, beloved, have stepped into the aftermath, not broken, not begging but becoming. Type I am the revelation in the comments if this is your closure. Blessing code 5512 is now complete.